Welcome to Driven Podcast, where we talk about car mods in the Canadian market. Today, we'll get some feedback on our very first podcast, and we'll discuss some of the trends we're going to see in 2020. Coast to Coast Car Talk starts right now. I got a phone call from a vendor, right? Had to watch it twice. Took a lot of offense the first time we listened to it.
Offense to what?
Just how we described competitors and exhibitors. But I think that's, when I listen to podcasts, you only have about 70% of my attention, right? And if you hear something, you might have to go back and listen to it again.
It's fine. And I don't think anything that was said that was untrue.
And I think he got that the second time he listened to it. But because it's podcast, right? You people might be listening to this while they're vacuuming. Well, that's a bad example. Working on their car.
Yep.
They might catch 70% of the content, and maybe they caught the stuff that might have given them a wrong impression about the message. And I think in this case, he had to listen to it twice. And the second time he did get it. But because he did get that initial reaction from it, it was more of a warning saying, hey guys, this is the other side. And I think that's good.
What's the other side though?
Well, the other side, when he first heard it,
yeah,
how he took it was, we were talking down competitors and exhibitors. And as a competitor and exhibitor himself, who has spent a lot of time and effort, he's on the good side. These are the guys we're saying we should be promoting, right?
Yeah.
And if you haven't listened to the first podcast, you should really. He initially thought, wow, after all this effort, this is the message you're sending us.
Yeah,
but it took, a second listen, and then he got it, right?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think it's ridiculous that people are so easily offended. Like, good to God.
And it's not that we have to try to offend people, but that's the whole point of the podcast, is that we're going to have to take on topics that will somewhat be polarizing, right?
Yeah. I still don't think it was that polarizing a conversation. All we're saying is, don't be a dick. If that's polarizing to you, fine.
You do you, boo. Honestly, just
just
do you.
That's what it all boiled down to. So that's the message, is just go have fun and enjoy your hobby.
Yeah.
Go have fun. Be a good person. I don't know.
If somebody takes offense to that, then this isn't the podcast for them to click unsubscribe, unfollow, and piss off.
Yeah,
don't do that, but like,
if all it's going to do is make you angry, I agree. This isn't the right podcast for you. Why would you put yourself through pain, right? So, and I think we have to be genuine in our comments, right? And that's the genuine Jeff. Right?
Well, I don't think I'm stepping outside of any norms for me. I'm not putting up airs or anything.
No, this is Jeff. I've known him for a couple of years now. This is Jeff.
But when it comes to
we
content,
got a reaction,
yes,
which ultimately is what we were looking for, right?
100%,
like
100%.
Good or bad, we wanted it. It's better that somebody took offense to it than didn't hear a word we said. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the challenging part is if you're gonna obviously do a podcast,
gotta try not to be boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still not sold on that, but we'll see.
I wanted to get Mike Beaumont in on this second podcast, but it is the holiday season. It's hard to coordinate schedule. I'm actually surprised that we were able to find time, the three of you guys. How was your guys' Christmas?
Christmas was good, standard fare for me, you know, with younger children.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas isn't really your own. It's just about them.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Nathan, you being all about yourself.
Yeah, millennial selfish.
What car parts did you buy for yourself? I'm sure you Jeff and I spent all our money on like
gifts for family,
toys,
and
I mean, like I did part of that too, but I made sure. Oh, we're getting a little bit of feedback.
No, it won't show.
Okay. I made sure beforehand to buy myself some parts. Yeah.
Before Christmas?
Before Christmas, for sure. Way before Christmas.
You don't like try and hit. Is there do car parts hit Boxing Day sales? I don't even pay attention.
No, I don't think so. I just hit Black Friday end of season.
That does it.
That does it for me.
What'd you get?
I got suspension, hydro, new brake lines. What? You know, maintenance stuff.
Hydro.
Yeah.
What's hydro?
A hydraulic handbrake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
Wee boy.
I've never heard it called a hydro before.
Oh, shorthand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Drifters. Kids.
Kids, you know,
They're
don't know anything.
The new skaters of 2000 and
The
new
2020s.
millennium.
220s,
Yeah.
Figure
Yeah.
skaters.
Yeah. But what do you think is going to happen in 2020? Like, where do you guys see things happening in the whole scene of things?
Do you want to go first? I want to go first.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I think there's going to be a lot of angry people.
Angry people.
I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very unsatisfied with others. I feel like this tendency of
That's not new.
sensitivity is going to be even more pronounced, because as we kind of veered more towards the end of the decade, us being in the position that we are, we really just watch a lot, and I notice it's becoming more and more of a trend where people try to individualize themselves, but at the same time they take offense when they're critiqued. So I think there's going to be a lot of angry people in the new year.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I kind of lean into the more of that's standard fare, you know. Nobody's ever been able to handle the criticism well, so I don't think it's gonna see any spikes in that. Show wise, I don't know. I mean, I think it's gonna, wide body stuff's still gonna get puked out at an insane rate.
Yeah. People have been talking about wide bodies going out of fashion forever.
I don't think we're there yet, man.
No, it's still coming. So,
Just looking at the renders that have been put out for the C8 Corvette, that car alone, I think is going to rejuvenate, like things like wide body and stuff, because the entry point is so much lower.
yeah.
Like you see the wide body, the Liberty Walk, Lamborghinis and stuff, and it's cool, but it's a pretty high bar to get in to play that game. And I think like the C8 Vet, I think they're gonna really, it's cheaper to get into. It's all relative, but and I think you're gonna see some fun stuff with that, just based on what I've seen on the Supra, right?
I think I was going to lean more towards the Supra in that respect, just because I believe with the Vet, they're still sticking with the LT1, which is by far an incredible engine, but it doesn't leave much to be desired versus the B58 and the Supra. Yes, you have like wide bodies and stuff people are going to be throwing on, but the B58 itself is going to be more, I guess, playable.
It's still going to be the Vet's going to be a naturally aspirated 500 horsepower mid-engine dual clutch
old man car.
supercar.
Old man car.
From the factory, sure.
Yes.
But that's where I'm saying is it's not an old man car, because there's lots of guys that can drop the 100K to pick one up, and then make it, wide body, stanced and straight piped and all that kind of stuff. And I honestly think it's going to be a huge boon for the aftermarket industry. I think that Vet is going to just be bonkers. I really do. More so than the Supra, because the Supra one, it took forever to develop. Mm-hmm. And it didn't, when it came out, everyone was like, hey, that's pretty nice. But it didn't explode out of the gates. Whereas I think the Vet, everyone was like, wasn't expecting much. Mm-hmm. The expectation wasn't as high as it was for the Supra.
Yeah.
And what they got was like, holy, wow.
Yeah.
That's, and the numbers behind it.
Just exceeding expectation.
Yeah, it blew everyone's mind. So I think that's going to really, things like that are going to go a long way.
It's still got a lot of runway, really, because they're going to come out with the special edition.
Well, there's still the
ZR,
ZR6, the
yeah,
ZR1.
yeah.
There's all that stuff to come out, and they're talking like flat plane crank, just
V8s, yeah.
insane, hybrid options, and just that car is going to really, I think, drive a big chunk of the aftermarket industry going forward.
Yeah.
So
I
Mark,
really
are you
do.
getting one?
Am I getting one?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
No, Mark Cito is done.
Mark Cito is done. Sure, he is.
Mark Cito's full of it.
Mark, I don't.
There's something I want to do, but it'll come slowly. It won't be the big bang that I've done in the past.
I'm gonna bet it's gonna be wide body.
No. It could be.
But let me tell you the Supra, because I saw the SEMA stuff and there were so many wide bodies, and that's one car that I really don't think needs a wide body.
I think it just needs aero, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I just
it's
think
like
needs a
some
GRD
subtle.
package.
It's got those nice hips on it already,
So
and
sexy.
just really nice curves. I wouldn't do it. Like the Vet, I'm like, yeah, the renders I've seen look incredible. I'd be all over it. The Supra, I like the stock lines. I really do.
It's a nice car. It's a very
It's
pretty car.
grown on me. I
It's a very
initially
pretty
was
car.
very skeptical. And then after I saw it in person and I've seen it out on the roads, like I don't care about the fake vents and all that crap. That's just semantics to me. I think it looks great. It's got a BMW engine, which isn't a downside to me. It's fine.
I think it's great.
I think people have come around.
I honestly, I think initially it was a bigger deal, and now everyone's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's
It's
pulling 100 horsepower on a tune, right?
Yeah.
It's really tunable, just like the old Mark IV was. So,
People are throwing so much power at that.
oh yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Within the first year, it's ridiculous.
So while I think wide bodies aren't going anywhere,
No,
I think the trends that I see are happening. I think there's going to be that more. I see this like the kind of like the iPhone effect, right? You're going to come down. It's going to come down to about maybe 5 or 6 major manufacturers for wide bodies. After that, people are not going to go to like the custom wide bodies.
is it not kind of already there though?
I think it's already there.
It is. There's
You you got your Liberty Walk, your Rocket Bunny, your Pandem,
there's the game virus.
and Varus, yeah.
Yeah.
It's already just a few. I mean, like you. Oh, and Origin Lab.
Origin Lab, if you're a drifter,
yeah,
you're a hot boy.
S13, yeah, if you're talking old Japanese cars.
Yeah.
But like, I think we're already there.
Well,
I
for the
don't see
last
a much
4 years, I've seen a lot of guys attempt to do their own wide
molded
bodies.
kits.
Like they'll bring out the chloroplast or however they do it.
yeah.
Foam, right?
Well,
Yeah.
like that one, the true wide body G35 back in the day in Winnipeg, where he cut all the fenders
Yeah.
and then spread them and then
Oh,
welded them
welded
in.
them. Sheets
Yeah,
on.
I
Yeah,
think
that
that
was
stuff
awesome.
will start to stop, and people will start conforming to these few brands and customize it from there. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll still see it.
I think
but
wheels are the same thing as well. I think everybody's going to conform to probably a dozen wheels.
I think there's going to
less
be
and
certain
less-
brands, but I think 3-piece wheels to an extent aren't going to be as popular as they were.
Why is that?
Because there are a lot of companies now that I'm noticing are offering forged wheels, monoblock wheels that are wide as hell.
And they've come down in price.
Yeah, they've come down in price.
No.
You can get a just a month ago. There's a new T37 for Miatas. That's like a 15 by 8 or 15 by 9, 0 offset, a huge wheel.
That's big for Miata.
It's huge for a Miata, but you think about it, you can get a 1-piece wheel now without going through the hassle of getting a 3-piece,
I just like the look of 3-piece wheels myself.
I think it's gaudy.
Yeah.
I think it's gaudy, but I think there's just going to be a lot more options now for wider wheels, just because a lot of cars now require bigger wheels from the factory. So you're going to see that more often.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, the technologies to create the wheels has improved vastly.
Incredibly.
And then now, I mean, when you're getting 21-inch stock wheels,
I know, it's stupid.
it's ridiculous. Although I think one of the guys from Audi was saying like, I can't see how this can go over 23 inches. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they're starting to
tame it down. I think
Yeah,
1920s is going to be typically the norm now for
It
newer
is. I think
cars.
it's already.
I think
pretty
we're
much
already there. Yeah.
Like nobody bats cut. Well, again, we're in Alberta,
Yeah.
so we're skewed a little bit on trucks and stuff. But those are all 20-inch wheels. So outside of that, I mean, I don't think it's going to be. I mean, there's not a ton coming out this year outside of the Vet. I think the new Bronco will give the off-road community something else to dig their teeth into outside of just Jeep products. So that I think will be something that will help that aftermarket industry, which is already booming, I'm sure. But
what's your guys' feedback on companies like Mercedes starting to really wind down on AMG products?
They have to. Just from a business standpoint, I mean, you can't. Their lineup is massive, right? And what used to be one AMG, model per C class
line, yeah.
per line, there's now like 3 or 4, and I just think from a business the business case can't make sense. They're mowing their own grass when they've got a A35 and an A45, and it's the difference of 100 horsepower, and you know what I mean? Like they're splitting hairs.
Concise it. Yeah, just make it concise.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, yes. From an enthusiast standpoint, I don't see the point in either. Like, I think enthusiasts are going to be veering towards one certain chassis or body style from Mercedes, and like obviously that would probably be the place to put an AMG model there. I don't think you'd need it for like each specific, like let's say CLA 45 or 55 or GLA. You don't need all of that.
You need the C63. You don't need the
just-
C43. I don't know if they're doing a 53, but I think it might just be E classes and stuff. And I think that's just the way that the world is going, right? Like it doesn't make
Production-wise,
sense.
it doesn't make sense at all.
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all.
But in terms of older cars, I think that's going to be an ongoing trend. People are going to continue to seek out those barnyard finds, bring back the 80s.
Yes.
I think that's still going to be very popular. Like Rocket Bunny Pandem, Chakioto's continually putting out body kits for these older 80s style vehicles.
Yeah, the E30s, the 190Es, all that kind of stuff, which I think is great because there's some good, they're good building blocks and they're becoming affordable, right? And
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, we still have so many people once you start having like people demand the cars and the cars start getting into
and that's what I was
There's
just going to
certain
say.
the hero
I don't think
cars,
it's
for
working.
sure.
I don't think it's working.
The specific hero cars, yes, but I'm actually thinking people are going to seek out more and more
niche cars?
unique niche cars, right? Like
Just-
obviously you're trying to find a
Like a
240Z
conquest.
for good luck, right? Like an old school NSX, good luck, right? But there's some really good sport compact cars that have haven't been touched yet.
they're giving viable alternatives, right? To those to hey, I've always wanted an air cooled 911. And the reality is I'm not getting an air cooled 911. So, I can look at other cars now that and I can have some fun with, and it's just giving people options, which I think is great.
Yep.
You don't have to buy $100,000 car to have a cool wide body, and all that kind of stuff. So
No, you need a vet.
well, like I said, that's just from a new car standpoint. I think that car is going to move the needle. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been very well received.
What about the local trends in terms of the car scene and things? I saw like this year, obviously Vancouver's had its issues with VIs.
yeah.
I think
That's a sad one.
Yeah, and I'll be first to admit, I thought it'd be similar to other cities. I thought that by now
It'd go away.
it'd go away.
Yeah.
But it's ongoing.
Well, yeah, there's just that post about the stock. What was it, a Land Rover?
Yeah.
Got
The Land
pulled
Rover
over?
got pulled over
Yeah.
for its OEM exhaust. Like, what do you expect it to
yeah.
sound like? A hybrid? It's got a big old engine in there.
So I mean, that's shocking that it's still going on. You'd think that somebody would have killed that by
I
now,
know.
but
Yeah.
But that just goes to show how small the community is in relativity, right? I mean, like, you put all this together, it seems like a pretty big number, but then you start breaking it down with relative to like general audience. We're pretty niche. We're very small. So,
Which is why you'll probably not get the support of city council to loosen the grip on that type of stuff.
so unless you can convert all your cars to hybrids and then wide body them, you know.
it's just strange that the vehicles they're targeting, like, it just doesn't make sense. Some of it is just
Not just, I think the part that's also painful is the process by which you have to undertake when you get a VI.
yeah.
Right. I'm hearing things like obviously you're gonna have to take time off work to get it inspected. You're gonna have to pay for an inspection yourself, and just
even
get back on the road.
yeah, and just to get a ticket quashed, it's time and money, and that's unfortunate, man. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. But on the flip side, do you guys think this whole sideshow thing is going to continue to grow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think realistically, yeah, just because of
It's the new street racing.
yeah,
right?
it's ridiculous. It's stupid. I don't agree with it, but I think, kids, they see things on the internet and there's no barriers to go throw a donut in an intersection. They don't know the risks. They haven't experienced it, so they're just gonna go do it, and they think they're cool.
Yeah. There's always that temptation, even after our shows, right?
Oh yeah,
Big
I mean,
crowd
like,
of people.
What's his name? Mr. RWB decides to do a fat Bernie leaving the complex, but that didn't happen.
That's tradition.
That didn't happen.
I think it's gonna be an interesting year next year. I think you're gonna see, like, as you travel, you're gonna see a huge variety of. You're gonna see discrepancies amongst the cities, I think.
As there should be. I mean, we already noticed that too. There's differences between every city already.
Yeah, no, I think Alberta's gonna be a bit of a grind next year.
The economics you're referring to?
Just the economics in Alberta, I think, are going to be tough. I think BC, other than the VI stuff, I don't see much changing out there. And I don't know any of the other markets well enough to speak intelligently to how Saskatoon's going to do for you, and Winnipeg. And I think Halifax, because I popped out there last year, is going to be strong. But I can't speak to the rest.
You just like the food down in Halifax.
Yes. But also the people and the response was exceptional, right? Like, it was when Mark went out and said, "Hey guys, we can't run the show tomorrow. Let's try and do it tonight." And just seeing the community out there embrace that and just get their phones out.
Just be so supportive.
Yeah, just support it.
Yeah.
I think they'll be hungry for a proper driven next year. So
Yeah, and we can't wait to show them what we originally
could
intended.
have done. Yeah,
Did
there's
you?
a lot more planned for that than actually got executed. So
For sure.
But no, I mean, Alberta's going to be tough. That's the one that I can say that I think is going to be a bit of a grind next year.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessarily as bad as the picture that gets painted either. People love doom and gloom.
I feel like Alberta's pretty strong, though. I mean, like, I feel like the scene's been pretty strong for the past half a decade or so. That can't really it's gone up and down through the cycle, obviously, but I've never seen it totally wean off to a point where it's bleak.
Well,
Granted, I'm also about 2-3 decades younger than you, so
Yeah,
that might play a factor.
I remember some bleak times in Edmonton where it was just
Back in my day,
it just wasn't there, and I don't know what the root cause or anything like that was, but no, I mean, I think it's going to be business as usual for the most part. It's just going to be like, I'm not talking about, huge struggles and challenges or anything like that. I think for the most part, it's going to be business as usual. And I think that the people, that are enthusiasts, they're not going anywhere. You may not pick up a bunch of new. That's the only thing, right? You may not see the growth. Yeah. But I don't think you're going to see drops or anything like that.
I think that is starting to be a concern, obviously, and that's, I think, the other trend that I'm seeing is in the past 3 or 4 years, saw a lot of new young faces at the show.
Or maybe you're just getting older.
That everybody's young to me now, but
everybody under 30 looks the same to me. So
how old do you think I am?
I don't know, like 18, 19.
Close enough. That's pretty close.
But I mean, the thing is, I'm just not seeing as many younger kids get into cars.
Yep.
Which sucks.
Yep.
They're so into video games.
I don't know if it's video games. I think it's just different interests,
No, I have a theory. Mm-hmm. My theory is it is social media and the smartphone, the advent of the smartphone and streaming content. When I was a kid, if I wanted to find out what was going on in my world, which, in high school isn't huge, but I had to go find people and talk to them, or, and you had to go out if you wanted to do anything. You had to
buy a magazine and read it.
And you
could
couldn't
talk about that too.
But to get a magazine, you'd have to go to the store to buy it.
Yeah.
Whether you walked or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you wanted to share your thoughts on it, you'd be calling up a buddy to talk about it. Right?
And now they can achieve all of that. Like if I was a kid now, I could do all of that without leaving my couch with my smartphone. I can see my friends. I can talk to my friends. I can interact with my friends. I can watch movies with my friends.
But isn't there still interest in that? Like, I mean, you're still interested in cars. I'm just talking. Let's people
but when you remove that piece of it, mm-hmm. when a car no longer equals freedom, mm-hmm. the interest is going to just drop across the board. So that's going to, in my opinion, wipes out a huge part of potential market.
Are you talking about people just not owning cars and not needing to own cars?
I think all of the above is
no, not needing to, not wanting to, not interested in it. Because if you don't need to own a car, the likelihood of you being interested in cars diminishes greatly.
It's not you're right. It's not a need. It's not a need now.
It used to, a car when I was, when I was 16 years old, a car was freedom. And that's the first thing you needed was to explore beyond your block. And now there's the need isn't there. Mm-hmm. It's not there at all. And I don't think it's coming back. I can't, like, the average age of people getting their driver's license continues to move up, whereas it used to be, probably 16 or 17 or around there. Mm-hmm. It's probably moving into the 20s now, I bet.
Yeah.
So,
but those who are in it, I think, are still as or even more passionate about
yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. To your point about
I think what that did is probably washed away some of the quasi casual, mm-hmm. And the true hardcore guys. They just love cars and that's it.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing is just like the people who are into it now and go the lengths to live and really enjoy cars are extremists. Like you could see them as like the extreme sports kind of people. Yeah. Right? It's like it's a really small group of people, but who love it passionately. But that's just because, like, as you said, cars aren't a necessity. But at the same time, I don't think cars are of his interest now. You ask what people want or prefer. You drop $300 on a pair of shoes instead of dropping $3,000 on your first car, right?
Yeah.
And things are expensive nowadays. Unless you're really, it's a huge barrier to overcome.
I think then you start factoring in, how many kids today are carrying gross student debt. Mm-hmm. I look at what my first house cost me versus what your first house is going to cost you. And, like all
You'll
that.
Get your first house when you're about 45.
Maybe I was aiming 47, 48,
But in my opinion, all that stuff factors into it. And where where, people of my generation, again, had the ability to go, yeah, I'm going to buy my house and then get into the car habit going. You can't do that anymore, because once you buy your house, like you're $500,000 in debt.
Your priorities completely change, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start shitting out kids, and then all of a sudden,
and everything changes.
Yeah.
And you get older, and now with everything happening later, they don't have their early 20s to enjoy the lifestyle like we did. They if they want to get a piece of that, they got to work their asses off to be able to afford that, whereas we didn't have to. It was a luxury that young people today don't have, and I feel bad for them. It sucks, and it sucks for us because it's killing the industry too.
I love you, Jeff.
Well,
what do you guys think about motorsports?
It's dying, and I'm sad.
I know.
Yeah.
I think that is the unfortunate trend is you're going to see less guys at the track.
Support your local motorsports people.
Yeah, you see a lot of that type of content online. You're going to get the more and more sour guys who keep saying race, race, race.
But then you're just going to get a bunch of people that are going to be like, again, the newer people coming in are going like the younger
Well, I don't think there's
generation.
newer people coming
Yeah,
in.
there's not, but the few that are, the younger generation is what people should be trying to captivate, get them into.
They should.
Because without them, there's not going to be anyone.
future.
There's not going to be any future in motorsports. But can you blame them? Why would they? You can race on the street
I got two
$3.
personal opinions on that. One, I think the guys who are into motorsports, and I'm guilty of this as well.
Yeah,
right? When I was into motorsports myself, and like autocrossing and going to the track, I was one of those guys going online saying you're not a real enthusiast unless you're driving, right? And I think that continues to create a divide. I don't think that helps when the guys, these elitists, go out and say, "Hey, I track my car. You're not an enthusiast because you don't track your car." I don't think that helps create more. It doesn't create the bridge to bring those guys in.
No,
right?
you got to welcome them in.
No, absolutely. The second thing is the guys who are into it right now, because it's very evident. If you go to the track right now, you go to the track and you look at the guys who are racing, they're either younger guys without kids, or they're much older guys with grown-up kids, right? And I saw that myself. I was really into it until, like you said, Jeff, you buy your house, you get married, you start having kids, your priorities change. So there isn't that. As these younger guys start getting married, start buying houses, start having other priorities, I don't see this wave of younger guys coming in now.
No, because and that the fiscal responsibility and burden that they're undertaking is 10 times what I did when I was their age.
For sure.
So, it's impossible. It's impossible.
It's
that unless there's, there's nothing.
the barriers to get in.
The cost of admission is
Right.
insane.
I mean, you can go on drag race real cheap, right? But
$40.
$40.
$40.
Go drag race and safe, right? I just don't see a lot of guys interested in that. I'm seeing less and less of it. So
I haven't been out
it's
to Friday
unfortunate.
nights. His house Friday nights at Castro.
I'll be honest with you. I've never been to Friday nights.
No, I haven't been in
Yeah.
years. So.
Yeah, I think there's still the good, the bracket racer crowd that continues to go out, and you see more familiar faces than new faces.
But that bracket racing crowd, how old are they?
They're getting that's going away too, right?
I'd say they're older than me. A lot of them,
Aren't you like 60 or something?
I'm pushing it. But.
Oh, okay.
No, and I think that's another concern too for a lot of that stuff is the user group is aging out and aging out to way out
Yeah.
to a better place.
Support your local track if you can.
Yeah.
But I think it goes beyond that too, though. What's going to happen to the Model T Club of Canada if there is one in the next 10
The
years?
5, 6, 7 Chev group, right?
Yeah, what happens when there's nobody to pass the torch to? And that's going to be weird because I think that's going to kill like a lot of stuff. Because you look at and the 5, 6, 7 Chevs, there's I think still hope for that. But when you look at like Model Ts and stuff, like what's the appeal? Like I never got the appeal. I never did, and I'm an old man. So these younger guys, you know, when these guys that are 70, 80 years old that have their pristine, fully restored, you know, whatever, what's going to happen when those guys go and their kids don't give a shit? What's going to happen to everything?
Yeah.
Is it all just die?
Man, you don't have to get so depressing. Jesus Christ.
You got to wonder about that, man.
That's so
like,
sad.
Even go to the 33 Fords, you know, the classic hot rod coupes. It will always have a market for those, I think, because the reach is so great. But that market is going to contract to almost nothing. And then what's going to happen with all these cars?
Yeah.
And all this history and all this knowledge, it's going to just disappear.
It needs internet points. That's what it needs. It needs internet points so young
But
people...
yeah.
But then again, also at the same time, young people can't afford that kind of stuff. So it's like... It's a niche thing, right?
It is, and those, I think a lot of those niches are dying, literally dying, and I think they're not going to come back, and that's sad.
Let us share your passion at Driven. Bring it to Driven. Seriously, everything.
We try, and on that point, it's quite frustrating because
we don't want to see it die.
We want these clubs to come out and promote what they do, right? And there's still this divide, so I don't think that's changing. If you're talking about trends, I still don't think there's going to be a huge change in, you know, enthusiasts as a whole
unification,
coming together. That's not going to happen. And I will debate this, that I don't think it's the younger guys who have issue with a Model T at the show. No,
the younger guys are way less rigid about like you look at a lot of the clubs that are out there now, and you know you're browsing social media, and they run the full gambit. They've got everything, you know, in their clubs. Whereas as the older generation, Gen X and up, are way more militant and purist and less accepting of you know, something outside the norm or that's not quite up to par. They're the ones that I think put up the barricades. You know, they don't want to intermingle with others.
Yeah,
it's like pride, but taking a step too far.
And that's what's going to kill them, though. You know, Edmonton Street Rod Association, you have a great show. It's well attended, awesome. Send a contingent of 5 or 10 cars to Driven and maybe get some new eyeballs on it and build some fans for the future. Yep. So that, you know, in 20 years, somebody's still building hot rods, old school, cool hot rods, like gassers, or, you know, that's what my concern is with the old guys are doing now, is that they're not setting up their legacy. They're just going to let it die because they're stubborn.
Mm-hmm.